All right, so let's take a look at number 2, where you have a trinomial, or a trinomial, which happens to be a quadratic. I'm sorry, let me use 2x squared plus 7x minus 30. Okay? Now, in this particular case, I use in order to factor this. This looks like you are factoring. Okay, you're factoring a trinomial. I'm about to go off the page. Let me not do that right there. Okay. Let me not do that. Okay, so we're factoring a trinomial. Looks like you did something. I don't know I know you did some stuff. You may know how to do this, but I use a method called the magic X. It's where you draw this great big X right here. And the template for the X, what goes in the top gap here, the top triangle here, is when you multiply A times C. So what do I mean by A times C? The coefficient of the x squared term is called A. In this case, it's 2. So A is 2 in this case. B would be the coefficient of the x term, which is 7. C would be the last term by itself, including the sign, which is negative 30. All of these include the sign, by the way. So if I multiply A times C, which would be 2 times 30, I would get 60 up here, okay? 2 times 30 is 60. And then in the bottom one, I have B by itself. And in this case, B is 7. And the whole goal of factoring is to get two numbers. Okay, I'm going to have two numbers. One I'm going to put on the left and one I'm going to put on the right. Two numbers that multiply to give me the 60, or the top number here. So they got to multiply to give me 60. But they also have to add to give me 7. Okay? So two numbers that multiply to give me 60 and add to give me 7. So in order to figure those numbers out, I have to get the factors of 60. So let's get the factors real quick. We always start with 1. Is there anything I can multiply by 1 and get 60? Yes, of course. It's 60. The next question we ask, is it an even number? Yes, it is. That means that 2 is also a factor. 2 goes into 60 30 times. I'm sure you probably already know this, but I'm just breaking it down because I don't know what you don't know, and I don't know what you know already. All right, and then we've got 3. Yes, this happens to be 3 happens to be a factor of 60 because it goes in evenly 20 times. What about 4? 4 is also a factor of 60. It goes in 15 times. Okay. What about 5? 5 is also a factor, being that it ends with a 0. It goes in 12 times. Boy, 6 is even a factor. 6 goes in 10 times. We're starting to run out here in a minute because we're getting ready to turn this thing around. 7, does that go in? Nope. What about 8? 8 doesn't go in either. What about 9? No. But what about 10? Well, when I get to 10, guess what? I've turned it around because that's going to be 10 and 6. So I don't need to go any further than that. Okay. Now, there's a way you could do this in the calculator. I don't know if you know it already, but I'm not going to teach that right at the moment. So we got our factors of 60. Now, one of these pairs has to also add up to be 7. Okay? 7. So that means I have to. They can be a mix of positive or negative. So one of them can be positive, one can be negative. Both of them can be negative. Both of them can be positive. Okay, so it's any combination of positive and negative. Okay, positive or negative. So we'll see. We'll see. The left side doesn't always have to be positive. I just put it there. I just put those next to each other. The right side does not always have to be negative. You have a mix of one or the other. Okay. So depending on which one will give me a positive 7. Okay. So the first thing that stands out is this 5 and 12 right here. Because the difference between those two is 7. I need a positive 7, which means that 12 has to be the bigger number. When I add 12 and negative 5, that'll give me positive 7. So my two numbers are 12, positive 12, and negative 5. Those are my two numbers. So when I'm factoring, guess what? I'm going to put in parentheses my two little binomials, because a factored out trinomial will always give you two binomials. Okay? Always give you two binomials. Let's make a note of that. Two binomials. Always. Okay. So I put my little x here. Oops, didn't mean to do that. X and x. That's where I get the x to the second power. Also, I got a positive 12 here. So I'm going to put plus 12. And here I got a negative 5. So minus 5. Now, the problem is that my a here was a number other than 1. So since it was a number other than 1, that means that's why I had to multiply my c times this a. Usually, if it's a 1, it doesn't really change c. C usually stays the same because a is usually 1 when it's in the simpler problems. But when you start getting more complicated and you get an a that is not 1, then you have to divide both of these numbers back down by what you multiplied them up by. So since I multiplied this c times an a times 2, an a that was equal to 2, I have to divide both of these by 2. Now here's the trick. Now this is called divide and slide. Divide and slide. I said dive. Divide and slide. Okay? Now, what I mean by divide and slide is super easy. If when I'm dividing back by a, if it goes in evenly, then I just go ahead and simplify this binomial. So the x is going to stay the same, and we see that the 12 will be divided evenly by 2, and it equals 6. Yay. However, this next one obviously does not go in evenly, so we don't try to divide it. We just slide it to the front here of this x term, and we say now we have 2x minus 5. Divide and slide. You feel me? So that's what the factoring will end up giving you. And if you multiply those two binomials like I see you did, this is exactly what you got. And I think you multiplied it out just to see if you would get the same thing here, and you did. So it looks like you got what it is, but this right here I don't understand. I don't understand where you got this 30. Oh, I see. You factored out the 30 first, and then you tried to figure out. See, the way we figure out the coefficient here, the 2, where it goes is divide and slide. We multiply a times c first, okay? And so we just lump it all together, and we say we need two numbers that multiply to give me 60, add to give me 7. We find what those are, then we divide and slide. We group them together in binomials, and then we divide and slide. That's how we do that. I don't know how you did it. You may understand it that way. If you understand it that way, it's perfectly fine. Just let me know. You feel me? All right. We'll see you in the next video.